Happy by Design, and welcome to Make and Take Tuesday. This week we're continuing our series with Graphic 45's Flower Market Collection, making the March monthly folio. I wanted to get this out to you so that you would have time to get it done before the calendar flips, which just seems to happen so fast these days. If you missed the first tutorial that I gave to you in January, I'll link it in the description box below and you can go back and check that out. That was actually a two-part tutorial, and this one might be as well. It just depends on how long it takes me to get it put together. But these are 8.5 by 8.5 portfolios. They're quite lovely, really sturdy. This is my own original design, and March is daffodils. So the challenge for me with this collection, as we talked about last time, is there's not a lot of pattern. It's very repetitive. It's a beautiful collection, but there's not a lot of variety. So I have to dig into my stash to find papers to break up all of this pattern and add a little variety and contrast. So on our cover, we've matted the large image from the 12 by 12. There's machine stitching. We do some really neat tricks to give us a little extra designer paper this time, which you'll see in the tutorial. Then this flips open, and I've combined it this time with the March Time to Flourish papers. There's just the tiniest hint of purple in the patterned paper, so I decided to pull that out. The green is a very good match as far as the shade. So here we've got a little side pocket. This flips out, and here we've got our little file folder that we use. This is with the Graphic 45 file folder die, and then our calendar sits in the pocket along with this sweet little tag. So that is there, and then over here on this page, I created this fun little folio pocket. We've got another March ledger piece and the 4x6 journal card in there. And then this flips up and you can actually do a couple of photos here, which I think that's really fun. I like that design. Then this is our front flap page, and we've got a little flip element that has double photo mats. And then we've got this nice big place for a large photo and a little pocket down here with a bookmark tucked in. This is just made with scraps that were on my table. This flips out, and these are magnetic. I don't know if you can hear that catch. That's always a fun sound. We've got a pocket page, and I also pulled in some papers from Stamperia's Provence, and these postcards worked really, really well. I was going to mat them on green, and I know the back sides don't go, well, this one's not bad, but they're just so pretty. I left them as they are. And then a little photo mat in here, more of our daffodil paper. And this patterned paper is from a Kaisercraft collection called Golden Grove. So that is this page. You can see I'm digging in my stash and I'm finding things that go with this beautiful collection. Over here, we've got a side pocket with a 6x6 folio. This is more of that Time to Flourish green. And then inside, just a purple micro dot or a lavender micro dot that I had in my stash. Here we've used the little die cut piece to create a little pocket with a little pull-out element and a little tag that I just made from scraps. Then this opens up. This one just goes on and on, you guys. It's a really fun design. Over here, whoops, we have another flap page with layered papers, a little photo mat. Open this out. Here's another photo mat. And then a pocket with a journal card and a small photo mat. So that's there. And then in the center, we've got this accordion pocket like we made last time. This allows us to fit a lot more in there, but we don't have to make a box pocket, so it's really easy. And I made a little 4x6 note card holder. These are just little notepads that you can buy at Sam's or Costco, and I just trim it down so that it's the right size. And then another little mini folio made with this pretty cream paper and Time to Flourish. So this page flips in, this page flips over, this page flips down, and there is our March folio. So hang around, we'll go over supplies, and then we'll get this tutorial going. before we get started, we're just going to go over our materials and introduce our guest star for this month. Of course, you need this chipboard from Flower Market. This is the one for March. And then in your die cut ephemera, this little sweet little tag. From your journal cards, you want this bloom, and then there's two of them. I will mention to you, I cut the blue border off. I did not like the blue border because there's no blue in this. It didn't make sense to me. So I just trimmed it off of the one side and rounded the corners, and then we're going to use the back side of this one. Same thing here with the 4x6. I trimmed off the blue border, and then this one, of course, we're using this side, so we don't have to worry about that. Then you need your March 8x8, both the cut apart and the pattern. And then, whoops, got ahead of myself. Then you want the 12x12 cut apart and pattern. And if you'll notice, there's a tiny little touch of purple in this, and I'm gonna pull that out a little bit, I think. From your patterns and solids, you want the botanical and the toile. And then here come our guest stars. I went into my Stamperia. This is from Provence, and it's this wonderful wood. And I thought this was a pretty good matchup, and that's gonna pull out those purples, but it also works with the greens. So that's a good one. This is also from Provence, and it's just the all over script. This is from Flower Alphabet, and it's just this distressed cream, which will come in handy, and it's a very good match for tone. And then also from Flower Garden, this distressed green, which is a good match, and another little scrap of that. I had a hard time matching up with this collection. It was actually pretty challenging. And then I just found some lavender. This has dots on one side, solid on the other. This is old authentique. What did they call this? I can't remember what they called this. Micro Basics, but really any kind of just small pattern will work. And then this is also from Flower Alphabet. I want just the back of these postcards. Then from my stash of cardstock, this is Stampin' Up. This is called Mossy Meadow, and this is 8.5 by 11, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets of this. And then this is Michael's Recollections Cream, 8.5 by 11, and I just grabbed a stack of that. We'll use this for matting and that sort of thing. So that's the supplies. You don't need ribbon. You don't need flowers. You don't need any of those things. We don't do that with these. So let's get going. The first thing you're going to do is fussy cut this one sheet of 8x8 and this one sheet of 12x12. And I'll just show you very quickly how I do this. I'm going to bring in my rotary cutter because it makes it easy to line these up. And first, I'm going to cut. I might even leave a tiny little bit of the cream on here, but this we throw away. Then come just to the bottom of the scallop and cut. So keep that. I have these are ancient Fiskars. They're a postage stamp edge. So I'm just going to trim out these stamps, and you'll cut the 12x12 up the same way. I'll just show you on the 8x8 because it'll go quicker. And if you don't have these shape scissors, just cut them out square. It's not the end of the world. You can always distress the edges a little bit if you want to. I'm not inking any of the edges for this. I kind of like these just as they are. So I'm going to actually cut across here. And I'm going to come in with my cutter. And I'm lining up with the left-hand side of my calendar. and I'm just going to make a straight cut. You could fussy cut this if you wanted to, but this looks just fine. Then along the bottom, again, go just below your scallop. And cut. These little border pieces come in really handy. And then I want to set this so I have a built-in border around my daffodil image. Okay, so like that, and I'll probably trim this up just a little bit more. There we go. All right, and a little bit off the top too. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to cut out our calendar. This small one is the one that goes on the front. Then we can cut out optimism. Okay, and I'm going to trim so that the border is even. Okay. And then just along the bottom of our little tag. And then it's very easy to just come in and snip out the corners. Okay. And then these, I use a punch, and the rest I fussy cut. You can actually fussy cut like this along this border piece so that you keep the butterfly. So the butterfly is part of the border, and this looks really sweet on top of a little tag or a little pocket. So I do it like this. Okay. And then all I have to do is fussy cut these two pieces. For fussy cutting, here's a quick lesson. You want to think of your paper as the steering wheel, and you turn your paper, you don't turn your scissors. So you're just driving the paper through the blade of your scissors. You can see I'm not moving my scissors at all, except when I have to pick up, and because I've run out of blade. So you just turn, and I also, because I'm right-handed, I have my blade angled slightly toward the right, because that helps me see where I'm cutting. I can see what's coming ahead, just like on the road. You can see the curves cutting ahead, and you can turn to get ready for it, okay? So pretty simple. Again, with these pastel papers, I chose a contrasting dark color because otherwise they tend to float away. But if you like the pastel, all pastel, go with all pastel. I'm just showing you what I do. All right, I'm going to cut up my 12 by 12s and I'll be back. All right, let's go ahead and get this base made. We're going to start with our 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 paper. And you're going to put one piece on your scoring tool and score it at 8.5, and then go over 3/8 of an inch and score it at 8 7/8. So when I have to score that 1/8 of an inch, I just line it up like here at the 7, I've got 7 3/8, and I just use that. Then put a piece of score tape, 1/4 inch score tape, along the right-hand side. Then bring in your second piece of 8.5 by 11, and this one you're going to score at 4 3/8. And again, I do the same thing. I line it up somewhere where I have 1/8 of an inch marks, and I just mark it. So this is your pocket on the bottom. So this is the piece that we want to join to our score tape. It's just easier to score these long pieces of paper if you do the scoring ahead of time. So I've got my score tape lined up nice and straight along the bottom, and I'm just going to line my paper up right alongside it. Oops, I keep moving that on the bottom. All right, there we go. All right. See how nice and straight that is on the back? Now come in with a bone folder and burnish this down. And when you've got a really good union, it almost disappears. It's kind of an amazing thing. But we're going to cover this anyway. So here we go. Here's our front, and there's our bottom. And you will notice I did 3/8 inch score lines this time because I feel like it handles the flaps better that way. So now we're going to do our flaps. And for this, you need 2 pieces of 8.5 by 8 1/4. And you can see I marked that this is my 8 1/4 side because it's really easy to, because it's only 1/4 inch, to eyeball it and do it the wrong way. So we want to go ahead and score a 1/2 inch here. And then 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch. All right. And we're going to do this over here. We've got the same thing. This is my 8 1/4 inch side. I'm going to score a 1/2 inch and 1, oops, turn it, it's easier. And 1, 2, 3. All right. Now bring in your base and place 1/4 inch score tape on the right and the left hand side. So this is your top, this is your pocket, these are your sides. Bring in your papers that you've scored. And I'm going to remove my tape. And you see my score line? I'm going to line this up with the edge of my base. And I'm going to fold, and I'm going to fold. So easy that way, okay? Then come over here and do the same thing. These things are so big, it's hard for me to fit them into frame. I'm doing the best I can. So, same thing. See this 1/2 inch score line? We're lining this up. And when I put my score tape down, I deliberately stopped about 1/8 of an inch from the top and the bottom, because that makes a guideline for me so that these are centered. So now I'm going to fold, and I'm going to fold. So here's our left flap. Here's our right flap. Our pocket folds up like this, left flap, right flap, top flap, and there's our beautiful little folio case. This is such a sweet design. I'm tickled with it. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next thing. All right, so now I've cut 2 pieces of my same cream cardstock. These are just under 4 by 1 1/4. And I'm placing these on my scoring tool. And I'm just using this because it's easy to access. And I'm scoring 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 inch lines like this. So I'm centering this up. And here's the first one, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now we're going to bend this. First, we're going to do a mountain fold. A mountain fold has a peak. All right. And then we're going to fold it back the other way. This is also called accordion folding. You've been doing this since you were in kindergarten, where you made your first folded fan. So you know how to do this. And I'm using my bone folder because this is very thick, heavy cardstock. All right. So here's what you've got. Okay. So open up your portfolio. Come here to where the pocket flap is. Place adhesive along the edge. Don't go more than 1/4 of an inch in. And you see how this is folded and this is like open? You want the folded edge to line up with the edge of your pocket. And sometimes you get a little overhang like this. It's okay, just come in and snip it off. So maybe go 3 7/8 inches when you cut the height on yours, and it'll maybe work a little better. Put adhesive on your flaps. You want to make sure that you're inside the fold when you glue it down. You don't want to go over the fold because that'll make it hard for your folio. So you're just pushing these little guys into place. All right. And burnish them down. And there's your accordion pocket. Whoops. Yeah, it needs to set up, y'all, but you get the idea. Okay? Easy peasy. All right, now we're going to go to work on assembling our cover. I have an 8 3/8 inch square of our green botanical paper and an 8 1/8 by 8 1/8 inch piece of this pale lavender. I'm going to put just a spot of glue on here because I stitched these up on my sewing machine and I don't want to stitch into glue. So what I'm doing is I'm getting this centered so that it will hold its place. That glue will help it hold its place. Now, instead of using an entire 8 by 8 piece of our designer paper, I want to come in and I want to just create a border like this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, these are all cut 1 inch wide by 8 inches tall. And I'm going to line these up so that they're perpendicular, okay? Do you see that? And I'm going to cut from my inside corner and keep them perpendicular so that, okay, from my inside corner to my outside corner. And this creates a little mitered corner, okay? So these will meet up like this, okay? So just do that on each corner. So when you come over here, same thing. Make sure you're perpendicular. And this is easy to do because this is square. You don't have to worry about, you know, having long sides and short sides. All the sides are the same. So this is pretty simple. Okay. And then Same thing here. All right. See how they meet? So I'm going to take a tiny bit of my adhesive and I'm going to put it right here in the center. And then I'm going to put this down. Now, if you're not stitching, which you don't have to, I just like the way it looks. If you're not stitching, go ahead and just glue the whole piece down. And you don't have to go through all of this. But I like to stitch. It gives it a really nice vintage vibe, I find. So here I'm just going to take this little piece, match up my corners. Okay. Now I'm going to take this piece. Match up my corners. Like that. Then the next thing you're going to do is come in with your big daffodil piece. See how it just covers it up. So why would you like waste? Okay guys, here's our front cover layout. I just wanted you to see it, and now we're going to put it together. So you can see I stitched our focal image onto, you know, we cut it with a little border, and then I glued it and stitched it onto the green and then cream and then purple. I cut these little border pieces and glued them back behind to add an accent. And then we're going to take our March calendar, which I also matted on both cream and green. And we're going to tuck this right here. So I'm using that green line right before the days, below the days of the week, to help me line that up. I don't have any dimensionals. I don't have nothing unusual here. Just gluing down these layers. These are real simple folios. All right. We're going to take our new beginnings. This is from the 8x8. This is going to go right here. And then our number 3 this time is going to go, and I just used a scallop circle punch to cut this out. I'm just going to go right here. going to put a little dimensional back behind there so that, there we go. Okay. And then our little charm goes down here. And I'm not punching out the, there we go. I'm not punching out the little centers. Instead, I'm going to take these Spellbinders gems. Oops. Just like that. That's it, folks. That's the cover. It is really beautiful in its simplicity.